Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Bold and Beautiful. Today, Steffi wants Eric to go back to Forrester. She is asking her grandpa to leave Katie and go back to the company. Steffi is really pushing Eric to make this decision about Forrester. She thinks it is an idea for Eric to be at Forrester again. Steffi is also asking her grandpa to abandon Katie, which is a pretty big deal. Steffi Forrester Finnegan might ask Eric Forrester to switch fashion houses. She wants her grandpa Eric Forrester to go back to Forrester Creations. Steffi Forrester Finnegan really wants Eric Forrester to return to Forrester Creations. Will Eric Forrester do what Steffi Forrester Finnegan wants him to do? Eric Forrester felt bad when his family had a retirement party for him. He was not ready to stop working at Forrester Creations. Eric Forrester wanted to make a collection for Forrester Creations. Rich Forrester felt bad about what he did to Eric Forrester. He knows he hurt Eric Forrester's feelings. That made Rich think Eric should come back to the company if that is what Eric really wanted to do. Eric said no to that, and now Eric is working with Katie Logan Spencer as her main designer. Ridge and Brooke Logan Forrester will probably get very mad when they hear this news. Ridge and Brooke Logan Forrester are sure to get angry. As for Steffi, Steffi will probably get angry too. Steffi might mostly be mad at Katie Logan Spencer for taking advantage of the situation with Eric. Steffi thinks that Katie took advantage of Eric when he was having a time figuring out what to do after he retired. People who watch The Bold and the Beautiful know that is not what really happened. Still, Steffi might blame Katie for what she thinks is a betrayal. Try to fix it. Steffi was worried about Eric's health because she did not want him to keep working and get sick. Now that Eric is working at Logan, Steffi may change her mind. Steffi will probably understand that Eric wants to feel like he is doing something, and she will say sorry for not getting that sooner. Steffi will realize that Eric needs to feel like he has a purpose. That is why he is working at Logan. Steffi is going to tell Eric that Forrester Creations still needs him. She saw some of the designs Eric was working on before all the trouble at his retirement party. Steffi wants Eric to know that he should be with the Forresters. She thinks Eric should be part of the family business. Steffi does not want Eric to help Katie with Logan. She does not want Eric's designs to be shown at another fashion house. That would not be good for Forrester Creations. Steffi likes Forrester Creations. She likes Eric being a part of it. Although Steffi will no doubt play up the family angle and remind Eric of what he built at Forrester Creations with Stephanie Forrester, it won't be enough to change his mind. Eric has committed to helping Katie as her lead designer on this first collection, so he won't walk away from the promise he's made her. Steffi tells Hope that something bad is going to happen. Meanwhile, Will gets in the way of Elektra and RJ. Stops them from doing what they want to do. Steffi is trying to warn Hope about this disaster. Will is causing trouble for Elektra and RJ. Steffi Forrester Finnegan is going to tell Hope Logan Spencer that something bad is going to happen. This is because Will Spencer is going to interrupt Elektra Forrester and RJ Forrester. In the Forrester showroom, RJ Forrester has been talking to Elektra Forrester. Getting to know Elektra Forrester. RJ Forrester found out that Elektra Forrester is dating Will Spencer, so he started talking about all the trouble with Luna Nozawa. RJ Forrester was wondering what Elektra Forrester really thinks about all of this. Now Will Spencer is watching and listening from nearby, so Will Spencer might just stay back and let Elektra Forrester talk to RJ Forrester. Elektra might say that dealing with Luna was really tough. She made it through and she is stronger now because of Will. RJ might think that Elektra would be happier with someone who's not so complicated and does not have all the problems that came with Luna. Before they can talk about this anymore, Will might jump in and do something crazy in front of RJ. Elektra and Will are together now. Will does not want to hear about Luna anymore. RJ sees how much Will cares about Elektra, and that is what matters to Elektra. She is happy with Will. It is easy to picture Will pulling Elektra close or even kissing her. So RJ knows for sure where things stand between Will and Elektra. Whatever the situation is, The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say the rivalry between RJ and Will start as they maybe take a few shots at each other. Will, RJ already have some tension between them because of their fathers who do not get along, but the sons of Bill Spencer and Rich Forrester will add to the bad feelings. That is especially true now that RJ has feelings for Elektra. Steffi is going to keep thinking about Taylor Hayes and Deacon Sharp being close. She will talk to Hope about this because she is really worried. They will sit down. Come up with a plan. Steffy will tell Hope that Deacon should not get too close to Taylor. The reason is that Deacon is married to Sheila Sharp. She is crazy. Steffy will say that if Deacon gets too close to Taylor, something bad could happen. She will ask Hope to help her do something about it. Steffy wants Hope to help her stop Deacon from getting too close to Taylor Hayes. Hope will eventually head over to Deacon's place while Steffy decides to stop by Taylor's office and reiterate that she can't keep bonding with Deacon. Steffy was at the center of it all, her mind contending with strategy and emotion as she paced the polished bottoms of her forefather Eric's office, where sun streamed through the bottom-to-ceiling windows, casting dramatic murk that sounded to echo the fermentation in her heart, and as she faced Eric, who was seated behind his iconic Forrester office, steely-eyed yet sick from the decades of family drama, she took a deep breath, her voice measured yet laced with urgency. Grandpa, you have to see reason. This is about Forrester Creations, about heritage, about what's stylish for the brand and for all of us. I know how important Katie means to you, and I know she's been by your side for times, but right now, the house is fractured. The collections, the platoon, everything is suffering because of this pressure, and we need leadership, your leadership, completely married, and I'm asking you. No, I'm soliciting you to consider putting Forrester first and making the hard decision about what truly matters. And Eric's hands, resting on the mahogany face, tensed slightly, a admixture of frustration and conflict fluttering in his eyes as he leaned back, absorbing every word, knowing that Steffi's words were both daring and daringly honest, her aspect unwavering, her posture straight and commanding. Steffy, he said sluggishly, his voice steady but with an turnabout of emotion. You're asking me to make a choice I no way imagined I'd have to make. Katie and I, we've erected a life together, a family, recollections I see ain't just set away. And Steffy, seeing both his vacillation and his vulnerability, softened for a transitory moment, her eyes shimmering with an admixture of determination and compassion. I understand, Grandpa. I really do. But the company it's bleeding, and the people who depend on us, the contrivers, the buyers, the staff, they need to feel confidence again. They need you, completely present, at the helm, not torn, not divided. And I know you love Katie, but love occasionally asks for immolation, for allowing beyond particular happiness to what's lesser than us, what's dateless, and Eric, you're dateless. Forrester needs you now, not just in spirit, but completely, unapologetically, leading the charge. You see, I ain't let this particular attachment pull the judgment of a man who has spent decades erecting an conglomerate. And Eric's jaw tensed, recollections of his decades-long marriage with Stephanie flashing before him, the heritage of passion and treason, and now Katie, who had brought warmth and calm to the family after times of chaos, and yet Steffi's argument eroded at him, her strategic mind and emotional intelligence woven together so seamlessly that it was insolvable to dismiss. And he felt a swell of pride mixed with exasperation. This little granddaughter, who had inherited not just his aesthetics but his cunning and adaptability, standing bravely, challenging him in a way only she could, and as Steffi continued, her voice gaining a subtle urgency, her eyes contending, Grandpa, I'm not asking you to abandon love. I'm asking you to prioritize your vision, your dreams for the company that bears our name, our family name. You've erected Forrester Creations into a symbol of invention and fineness, and if the heart of the house, if you allow sentiment to pull judgment, we risk losing everything, not just in the request but in our hearts, because people will look to us for leadership, for illustration, and right now, what are we showing them? Vacillation? Vacillation? Fear of making hard choices? Eric ran a hand over his face, a sign of the weight pressing down on him, the decades of responsibility, the recollections of loss and triumph, the loves he'd held and the miscalculations he'd made, and he knew, deep down, that Steffi was right in principle, yet he couldn't sound the study of turning down from Katie, who had been his constant, his solace, the person who had stood by him through late-night boardroom battles and public dishness likewise, yet Steffi, ever perceptive, noted the flicker of mistrustfulness, and she pressed on, leaning slightly closer, her voice dropping to a near tale that carried the power of conviction. Grandpa, imagine Forrester Creations not just surviving but thriving under your full guidance, where every decision is bright, every strategy executed with clarity. Imagine the collections, the fashion shows, the runway dominance, all of it fueled by your vision, your leadership, and yes, Katie has been awful, but she isn't the heart of Forrester Creations. You are. And I need you to see that, to embrace that, indeed if it means making choices that are incredibly delicate." And Eric looked at her, his eyes searching, a blend of admiration and anguish, realizing that this was the same Steffy who had formerly challenged Ridge, who had fought for her own place in the family, and now she was challenging him, not out of discourteousness but from a deep understanding of what was at stake, and for a moment, silence hung heavy in the room, the kind of silence that spoke volumes, the ticking of the forefather timepiece echoing like a metronome of decision, and also, Steffy, seeing the vital moment, added, with a assertiveness that couldn't be ignored, "Grandpa, you've always tutored me that leadership isn't about comfort, it's about courage. It's about making the calls no bone differently has the guts to make, and this is one of those calls. Forrester Creations is bleeding, our family's influence is waning, and if you don't step in completely, others, Ridge, Thomas, indeed Outlanders, will fill the void, and we will be left scrabbling, defending a heritage that could have been saved and elevated by you, the man who erected it, the man who defines it, the man who should no way let sentiment overshadow strategy, indeed if it's the sentiment of someone you love dearly." And Eric's hands, formerly rigid, now quivered slightly as he grappled with the enormity of her words, feeling the whole of war between particular devotion and professional duty, the weight of decades pressing on his shoulders, while Steffy, unyielding, met his aspect. And added, her voice softening but carrying inarguable force, "Grandpa, I love you, and I admire everything you've erected, and I would no way ask this smoothly, but occasionally love also means immolation, indeed for those we watch about the most, and right now, what I'm asking is for you to embrace the bigger picture, to act with the wisdom, the courage, and the vision that only you retain, and if it means stepping back from Katie, just temporarily or in a way that prioritizes Forrester's survival and glory, also I hope you can find that strength within yourself." And Eric felt a lump in his throat, recollections of horse laugh, feasts, and quiet moments with Katie mingling with recollections of commercial palms, the launch of iconic collections, and the family moments that had defined the Forrester name, and yet Steffy's words struck a passion, a memorial of why he'd fought so hard to make this conglomerate, of the responsibility that had been passed down through generations, and as he leaned back, exhaling sluggishly, a admixture of abdication, determination, and resolve washing over him, he realized that Steffy had pushed him into a corner where clarity could only be set up through action, not vacillation, and with a measured, nearly heavy voice, he said, "Steffy, you make a compelling argument, and I can't ignore it. I've spent my life guarding this family and this company, and maybe there are times when protection means making the hardest of choices, indeed if my heart resists." And Steffy, seeing the shift, allowed herself a small, victorious smile, though her eyes betrayed the anxiety and stopgap curled tightly within, and she stepped closer, lowering her voice to her establishment yet tender tale, "Grandpa, I need you to trust me on this. Let Forrester Creations come first, let the heritage shine brighter than ever, and I promise, we will navigate the particular side precisely, we won't discard love smoothly, but right now, the company needs the Eric Forrester who can make decisive moves, who can steer the boat through turbulent waters, who can stand at the helm without distraction, without divided fidelity, and I know you can do that. You always have." And Eric's aspect softened as he studied Steffy, the granddaughter who had grown into a redoubtable force, a woman who had inherited his tenacity, his courage, and now, his capability to impact hearts and minds with perfection, and though his heart pained at the study of disappointing Katie, he knew that Steffy's words were embedded in love for the company, for the family, and eventually for him, and he felt a swell of respect and a renewed sense of purpose, realizing that maybe this was the moment to put Forrester first, to embrace the mantle of leadership with renewed vigor, and as he sat there, the sun glinting off the Forrester nameplate on his office, he eventually jounced, a quiet yet bent gesture that spoke volumes, and Steffy's eyes lit up with relief, her heart racing, knowing that she had succeeded in planting the seed of action, of change, of prioritization of heritage over comfort, and as the pressure in the room sluggishly began to ease, the implied understanding between forefather and granddaughter formed, a bond strengthened by honesty, courage, and the grim pursuit of greatness, and in that moment, the future of Forrester Creations felt both precarious and thrilling, teetering on the edge of dramatic change, with Eric poised to take action, to embrace responsibility completely, while Steffi, her charge fulfilled, allowed herself a transitory sense of triumph, knowing that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges, with Katie's ineluctable response brewing, with Ridge and Thomas surely maneuvering in the background. Yet for now, the power dynamics had shifted, the communication had been delivered, and Steffi had proven, formally again, that in the high-stakes world of Forrester creations, audacity, strategy, and heart could meet to move indeed the most stalwart of papas. And as Eric sat back, the weight of decades of decision-making settling forcefully on his shoulders, he knew that Steffi was right. Forrester creations must come first, and occasionally, love had to stay, no matter how painful that verity might be. And in that heavy, decisive silence, the fate of the family, the company, and the heritage hung in the balance, with Steffi standing altitudinous, her vision clear, ready to navigate the storms to come, while Eric contemplated the hard road ahead, knowing that one choice could review not just the company, but the very future of the Forrester name. And as the murk dragged in the office, the scene was set for drama, battle, and a bold, indelible shift in power, leaving observers on the edge of their seats, hearts contending, as Steffi's audacious drive for Eric's full commitment hovered to reshape every relationship, every alliance, and every deeply held trust within the walls of Forrester Creations. Because in this world, nothing is ever simple, nothing is ever endless, and every decision carries the weight of generations, ambition, love, and heritage, all entwined in the grim, glowing, and hugely witching saga that's the bold and the beautiful. As Steffi exited Eric's office, her heels clicking sprucely against the marble bottoms, the manse sounded to echo her audacity, the echoes bouncing off walls adorned with decades of Forrester history, and though she felt a rush of triumph, a sense of calm mingled with anxiety as she knew the real storm was just beginning, for Katie, who had been in the glasshouse, belting tea and still enjoying the rare peace of a morning without extremity, would soon discover the discussion that had just unfolded, and when she entered Eric's office moments latterly, her radiant smile faltering as she set up the air thick with implied pressure, she incontinently tasted the shift, the turnabout of secretiveness, and with a soft yet probing voice she asked, "Eric, what's going on? I heard Steffi leave. Did you two talk about me?" And Eric, feeling the weight of the verity pressing on him, plodded to maintain countenance, knowing that any words could hurt Katie deeply, yet the choice he faced demanded honesty tempered with tactfulness. "Katie, we had a discussion about the company, about Forrester Creations, about the future." He began precisely, his hands clasped tightly in front of him. And occasionally, in these moments, opinions have to be made that are delicate, and I want you to understand that nothing changes my respect, my admiration, or the care I've for you. But right now, the company requires focus, clarity, and decisive action. And Katie, seeing the subtle distancing, the gentle but unmistakable way Eric's words skirted around her, felt a stitch of hurt, a shadow crossing her generally confident expression. "Eric, I don't understand. Are you saying you're prioritizing the company over me? Over us?" she asked, her voice a blend of unbelief and quiet pain, and Eric soughed, the weight of decades of responsibility pressing down on him as he searched for words that would soften the blow without compromising the necessity of action. "Katie, I love you, I truly do, but occasionally love also means making choices that aren't easy. Steffi, she reminded me of the significance of fastening on Forrester Creations, and I must consider the heritage, the family, the platoon, and what's stylish for everyone involved, indeed if it means temporarily stepping back from particular attachments." And Katie's eyes widened, hurt and disbelief flashing through them as she plodded to absorb the reality, the idea that Eric, her mate, the man who had been her anchor, could indeed contemplate putting the company above their life together. And before she could respond, Ridge appeared at the doorway, his hand boo playing on his lips, seeing the pressure like a bloodsucker circling its prey. Well, what do we've then?" he said easily, his eyes glinting with a blend of curiosity and opportunism. "Eric, Katie, deep in discussion, and Steffi just left. I hope I'm not interposing anything too particular." And Katie, incontinently protective, shot Ridge a sharp look, her feelings raw. "Ridge, this isn't your business," she said, her voice establishment yet pulsing slightly, while Ridge, unbothered, leaned casually against the frame, his aspect fluttering from Eric to Katie with rehearsed perfection. "Oh, But everything then's my business, Katie. The Forrester conglomerate family matters, they're all connected, and I couldn't help noticing that Steffy was veritably conclusive, veritably pertinacious.